Martina Navratilova has witnessed every great era of tennis over the last 50 years. She has seen the icy dominance of Chris Evert and the explosive power of Steffi Graf. She watched Serena Williams change the sport forever and Iga Swiatek build her clay court empire. But this week, at the Madrid Open, the legendary Navratilova sat in the broadcast booth and said something that sent shockwaves through the tennis world. "I have never seen this before." And the most mind-blowing part is that this absolute astonishment was not directed at the world number one. It was not directed at a local Spanish hero. It was directed at a 20-year-old girl from Southeast Asia. Alex Eala is currently ranked outside the top 40 on the WTA Tour. She does not have a Grand Slam title to her name yet, but somehow she turned the prestigious Caja Magica into a boiling cauldron of pure, unadulterated energy. The stadium was absolutely packed to the rafters with screaming fans. They created a deafening, festival-like atmosphere that you normally only see in the final set of a Grand Slam championship match. Navratilova admitted she was completely stunned by the sheer volume and passion of the crowd for such an early round match. It was a level of manic support that completely defied logic in standard tennis rankings. But the crazy part is that this roaring crowd is just the tip of the iceberg. What is really terrifying the rest of the tour is the secret weapon she is unleashing on the clay court. Today, we are going to expose the hidden Rafa Nadal DNA in her game that is actively destroying tour veterans. We will reveal the tactical brilliance that nobody is talking about right now. We are also going to break down how this young star is generating a massive commercial shockwave that the WTA desperately needs. But the deafening crowd out there is just the surface. The truly terrifying truth lies in what she is actually doing with the tennis ball on the red clay. To truly understand the absolute insanity of this phenomenon, we have to rewind to the exact moment Alex Eala stepped onto the court against Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova. You have to realize who is standing on the other side of the net. You are looking at a former Roland Garros finalist. We are talking about a seasoned clay court specialist, a veteran who has been in the trenches against the absolute best players in the world. Everyone fully expected Pavlyuchenkova to teach this young player a harsh lesson in reality. They expected the veteran to expose the inexperience of youth, to exploit every single weakness, and to send her packing early. They expected a quick, brutal masterclass from the Russian star. But Eala did not just win that match. She systematically dismantled the veteran, taking the victory with a ruthless performance of 6-3 in both sets. She chased down every single drop shot. She punished every short ball with lethal precision. It was not a lucky victory. It was a statement of pure dominance. Beating a clay court expert with that much experience on this specific surface is never an accident. It is never a fluke. It requires a level of tactical maturity and mental fortitude that most 20-year-olds simply do not possess. But the story gets even crazier when you look at what happened off the court before the first ball was even struck. The official ticketing system of the Mutua Madrid Open registered something genuinely historic. Ground passes and day session tickets for the first week completely sold out in record time. This is an extremely rare occurrence for the opening rounds. Usually, you only see this kind of ticket frenzy when absolute megastars are on the schedule. People were literally scrambling for seats, desperate to claim a spot just to catch a glimpse of the Southeast Asian pride in action. They wanted to witness history being made right in front of their eyes. They brought flags, they painted their faces, and they chanted her name until the concrete walls of the stadium were literally vibrating. The energy was so thick you could cut it with a knife. To understand how she built this impenetrable game, you have to look deeply into her roots. Alex Eala is the ultimate premium product of the Rafa Nadal Academy. She did not just go there for a brief summer training block, she lived there. She absorbed the relentless work ethic, the brutal physical conditioning, and the tactical genius of the greatest clay court player in human history. She grew up grinding on those exact red dirt courts in Spain, learning how to suffer and outlast her opponent's point by agonizing point. It is a specific type of tennis education that money cannot buy. You have to earn it through pure suffering. And now, That massive investment of blood, sweat, and tears is paying off in ways nobody ever predicted. She is bringing that ferocious Spanish clay court training directly onto the professional tour. The crowd feels that authentic energy radiating from her side of the court. The veteran opponents fear her relentless pace and her absolute refusal to give up on a single ball. And the tournament organizers are watching their social media metrics explode into the stratosphere every single time her name is mentioned online. She is not just winning matches, she is creating an entire movement. If you are sitting there right now wondering how one young player from the Philippines is single-handedly shifting the entire power dynamic of the WTA Tour, you are exactly where I was when I started putting these puzzle pieces together. I spend countless hours digging into these tactical breakdowns and uncovering the hidden data so you do not have to do the heavy lifting. If you are enjoying this deep dive and want to keep discovering the untold stories behind the biggest shifts in professional tennis, consider subscribing to the channel right now. It helps me bring you these intense, data-driven breakdowns every single week. However, if you think that record-breaking, sold-out crowd in Madrid only showed up out of blind national pride, you have completely missed the massive secret that the tournament analysis system just exposed. The WTA has always struggled with the massive problem of pulling fans into the stadiums for early round matches. But the ticketing system at the Madrid Open just recorded a historic anomaly. Every single ground pass was completely wiped out. These fans did not show up to watch Aryna Sabalenka or Coco Gauff. They showed up for the pride of Southeast Asia. This is what insiders are currently calling the Filipino effect. We are witnessing a literal cultural invasion at the Caja Magica. Thousands of passionate Filipinos living in Spain and across the entire European continent dropped absolutely everything to flood the stadium grounds. You have to picture the scene to truly grasp the magnitude of this event. Normally, a second-round match on an outer court is a quiet, polite affair with only a handful of dedicated tennis purists scattered across the bleachers. You can hear the players breathing. You can hear the squeak of their shoes. But when Alex Eala walked onto the red clay, that quiet atmosphere was completely annihilated. They transformed a standard tennis match into a hostile, deafening environment for anyone unlucky enough to be playing against her. It felt exactly like a high-stakes Davis Cup tie, where the home crowd is ready to go to absolute war for their chosen player. The pressure on the opponent is absolutely suffocating when every single unforced error is met with an earth-shattering roar from the stands. The noise level was completely unprecedented for an outer court. You could hear the chants echoing across the entire tennis complex, disrupting matches happening 3 courts away. Opposing veteran players are simply not mentally prepared to face this kind of overwhelming acoustic assault. They are used to polite applause and quiet observation. Instead, they are stepping into a boiling cauldron of intense national pride. Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova looked visibly rattled by the sheer volume of the stadium. And the cultural takeover is definitely not just happening inside the stadium walls in Madrid. You have to take a very close look at the social media metrics from the tournament. The engagement numbers are completely illogical and defy every single standard digital algorithm. Posts featuring Alex Eala are systematically crushing the viewership numbers of established top 10 superstars. We are talking about engagement rates that surpass Grand Slam champions. She is generating millions of organic impressions, massive share counts, and endless comments that the WTA marketing department could only dream of achieving with their massive advertising budgets. The digital footprint is so incredibly massive that the tournament organizers actually had to dedicate extra camera crews just to cover her routine practice sessions. They know that putting her face on a video thumbnail guarantees a massive, instantaneous spike in global traffic. The casual tennis fans are finally waking up to the reality that she is a massive commercial juggernaut who brings an entire demographic to the sport. Martina Navratilova recognized this incredible phenomenon immediately from the broadcast booth. She stated on air that this kind of organic, rabid fandom is an incredible breath of fresh air for the entire WTA ecosystem. It completely proves that the center of star power is rapidly shifting away from the traditional Western markets. It proves that you do not need a Grand Slam trophy on your resume to command a global army of dedicated fans. You just need to mean something profound to a massive demographic that has been waiting for a hero to emerge on the world stage. She carries the heavy weight and the massive hopes of an entire nation on her shoulders every single time she steps up to the service line. It is a terrifying amount of pressure for someone so young, yet she absorbs it perfectly. But here is the absolute truth of the professional tennis landscape. A wild crowd can definitely help you win a tight game, but no amount of cheering can help you defeat the absolute best tennis players in the world. That crowd is completely useless unless you possess a lethal weapon. Now is the time to listen very closely to what Martina Navratilova actually analyzed during that television broadcast. When she looked at the forehand of Alex Eala, she did not see a young player just trying to nervously keep the ball in play. She saw the unmistakable ghost of the greatest clay court player in human history, Rafael Nadal. This is the technical secret that the casual fans are completely missing while they focus entirely on the roaring crowd. Let us break down the actual biomechanics of what she is doing out there. The topspin on her forehand is exceptionally heavy. The massive revolutions per minute she is generating on that yellow ball force it to kick up viciously off the red dirt. This aggressive, high-bouncing trajectory pushes her opponents so far behind the baseline that they are practically standing in the front row of the stadium seating. She has the brutal capability to dictate the pace of the rally and spread the heavy ball wide to both corners of the court with frightening, relentless power. This is pure Nadal DNA engineered directly into her swing path. She spent years living at his prestigious academy in Mallorca, hitting millions of forehands until that explosive buggy whip motion became pure, undeniable muscle memory. She learned how to slide perfectly on the crushed brick, how to defend the deep corners, and how to miraculously turn desperate defense into blistering offense with one aggressive flick of the wrist. And the technical dominance is only half of the terrifying equation. You have to look deeply at the mental toughness she displayed to truly understand her rapid evolution. Let us talk specifically about how she saved those critical breakpoints against Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova. Picture the moment. The crowd is dead silent, the tension is suffocating, and the veteran is ready to pounce on a weak second serve. A normal 20-year-old player would absolutely panic under that kind of immense, crushing pressure. A normal rookie would rush the point, overhit the ball in desperation, and make a sloppy, nervous error to hand over the game. But Alex Eala stepped up to the baseline with dead calm precision. She executed her tactical patterns with the icy, calculated execution of a 10-year veteran on the tour. She hit a heavy kicker out wide, opened up the court, and drilled a forehand winner straight down the line without a single ounce of hesitation. I am honestly very curious to hear your thoughts on this major technical shift. Do you think her heavy topspin forehand is already a top 10 weapon on the wtatour right now? Or does she need to develop more flat power to survive on faster surfaces like grass and hard courts? Let me know your honest tactical breakdown down in the comments because I read every single one of them to see what you guys are spotting during these intense matches. Returning to the match tape from last year, the physical and mental evolution is completely undeniable. In 2025, she was still a very talented, promising junior player who could be easily outmaneuvered by savvy, experienced veterans on the tour. Older opponents could read her tactical patterns, exploit her lateral movement out wide, and force her to hit uncomfortable, off-balance shots. She would often get frustrated and spray errors when the match got tight. But the player who showed up in Madrid this week is an entirely different beast altogether. She has completely transformed into a legitimate clay court assassin. She understands exactly when to construct the point with heavy, looping spin and exactly when to step inside the baseline to deliver the absolute knockout blow. She is no longer just participating in the extended rallies. She is ruthlessly dictating the terms of engagement on every single point. That Nadal-engineered weapon is exactly what destroyed Pavlyuchenkova on the court. But to prove that this DNA is the real deal, and not just a one-time miracle, Alex Eala has to face an absolute life-or-death test in the next 24 hours. And every single theory, every single piece of high praise from Navratilova is about to be dragged straight into the fire right now. Her next opponent is the number 19 seed Elise Mertens. You are looking at a player who is universally known as the most ruthless physical grinder on the entire professional tour. Mertens is essentially a human backboard on the tennis court. She absolutely does not give you any free points. She forces you to hit 5, 6, or sometimes 10 extra balls just to win a single, exhausting rally. She drains your physical energy and systematically destroys your mental resolve until you finally crack under the sheer, suffocating pressure of the match. This round of 64 clash on April 24 is the ultimate stress test for the young star. It is a monumental, career-defining hurdle. If Alex Eala can somehow survive this brutal war of attrition, she will advance to the round of 32 at a WTA 1000 event for the very first time in her entire career. It is a massive milestone that permanently separates the promising rookies from the legitimate championship contenders. But Mertens is absolutely not going to hand over that milestone willingly. She is going to drag Alex Eala into the deep, dark waters of the red clay to see if the young player actually knows how to swim. The physical toll of this specific match will be absolute agony. The tactical matchup here is absolutely fascinating to break down. Mertens thrives against players who hit flat, predictable, rhythmic balls. She loves to use their own pace against them, effortlessly redirecting the energy flat down the line to run them ragged. But here is the exclusive tactical insight that the mainstream sports networks are completely missing right now. The heavy, kicking topspin that Alex Eala learned from the Nadal Academy is the exact kryptonite that breaks the robotic defensive rhythm of Elise Mertens. When you force Mertens to hit balls that are constantly kicking up violently above her shoulders, she simply cannot generate her flat, penetrating counterattacks. She gets pushed far back behind the baseline. Her defensive balls start to drop short inside the service box. And that is exactly the precise moment when Alex Eala can step aggressively inside the baseline and unleash that lethal forehand weapon to end the point. But brilliant tactics alone will not win this grueling match. We have to factor in the boiling cauldron of the Caja Magica Stadium. Mertens is an incredibly experienced, battle-hardened veteran, but facing a younger opponent who is backed by a deafening, hostile crowd of thousands of passionate fans is a completely different psychological nightmare. Every single time Mertens misses a crucial first serve, the crowd will roar in approval. Every single time she hits the net tape, the concrete stadium will literally shake with applause. Mertens has to fight two completely different opponents at the exact same time, the girl possessing the Nadal forehand and the thousands of screaming fans demanding a historic, monumental upset. It is a massive test of raw nerves for both players on the court. Alex Eala has to prove she can maintain her icy, calculated composure when the tournament stakes are at their absolute highest, while Mertens has to prove she can mentally block out and silence a crowd that is desperately hungry for a new hero. The tension is going to be absolutely unbearable from the very first point. Regardless of what the scoreboard says after that final point against Mertens, an absolute undeniable truth has just been established in Madrid this week, and it is going to permanently alter the entire ecosystem of the WTA. What is happening right now at the Madrid Open is not just a fleeting story about one single tennis tournament. It is a massive, undeniable declaration of war from an entirely new generation of athletes. Alex Eala is actively proving to the world that you do not need to be born in America or Europe to completely reshape the global landscape of professional tennis. She is the perfect, unstoppable combination of elite technical skill and unimaginable commercial power. We are witnessing a monumental shift in the tectonic plates of the sporting world. You only have to look at the massive $75 million USD sponsorship deal she just signed to truly understand the sheer gravity of this situation. The launch of the Nike Sampaguita collection is not just a clothing line for a tennis player. It is a loud, undeniable statement that the corporate athletic giants of the world recognize exactly where the future of the sport is heading. They are betting 75 million USD on the absolute fact that this young girl from the Philippines is going to carry the entire Asian market on her back for the next decade. She is bringing millions of new, wildly passionate fans into the rigid WTA ecosystem. These are fans who do not just quietly watch the sport on television. These are fans who paint their faces, buy the expensive tickets, pack the international stadiums, and scream until their lungs completely give out. She is rapidly becoming the female version of Rafael Nadal for an entirely new hemisphere. The lethal, spinning forehand, the relentless fighting spirit, and the absolute refusal to surrender a single point are all visibly there. Martina Navratilova saw it from the broadcast booth. The fanatic fans in Madrid feel it in their bones. And the rest of the professional tour is finally waking up to the terrifying reality that the landscape of women tennis has permanently changed. Will that explosive Nadal DNA and the absolute chaos of the Madrid crowd be enough to help Alex Eala shatter the defensive wall of Elise Mertens and write a brand new chapter of WTA history? You need to know exactly how this brutal tactical war plays out on the clay. Hit that subscribe button right now so you do not miss my deep dive tactical breakdown of that exact match the second the final ball is struck.